Hi, and welcome to the Zen Superman podcast. The episode today is for you if you feel like you don't even recognize yourself since you became a parent. It's like my life was crazy, but kind of amazing and so much different before I became a mom. Now that I've been a mom, it's like a whirlwind of emotions, and a lot of it is amazing and great, and I'm so grateful for having my kids because they're like the blessing of my life. They're a miracle. However, I turned into an angry, raging, out of control, stressed out, sleepless zombie, and I don't even recognize myself. Who the freak am I? And does it mean I have to wait for the next 15, 20 years for my kids to grow up and leave the house before I can be myself again? But then 20 years younger, that's not going to be the same me as I was before I had kids. So where the heck does that leave me? And I'm taking care of so many other people and I'm giving them, giving everything until I have nothing to give to myself. So where does that leave me? And how can I be a healthy example of self-care and self-worth and living my authentic self and my own dreams for my kids? For my girls and boys, how do I be an example for them when I'm kind of like leaving myself behind in order to take care of them? So, if that's you, let me send you a big hug. You're not alone. It's not your fault. Let's dive into it. It's completely normal that you're wondering. Many people call this like the midlife crisis. I call it midlife opportunity. Let's dive into it, shall we? Hi, I'm Elena and I'm a mommy tantrum specialist because I used to be specialist at yelling at my daughter daily. Now, 6 years fast forward, me and my team help busy, loving moms stop yelling, start setting healthy boundaries with natural consequences while staying calm so that the kids listen more. And one day when you look back at their childhood pictures, you will be able to feel at peace and happy with what a wonderful job you did. So that's what we do in this Zen Superman podcast, helping you find out why none of these parenting techniques, not even anger therapy and counseling, is ever going to help you get there. You need to understand the root. Where is all of your uncontrollable anger coming from? That's what this podcast is about. So, welcome to the Zen Superman podcast. Hey, and before we dive in the content of this podcast episode, could you do me a favor and subscribe? My team is chasing me. They are telling me that 92% of our binge watchers are not subscribed yet. So if that's you, let's hit that button now so that this podcast can spread to more people who need to know as well. Thanks. Hi, my name is Elena. I'm a mommy tantrum specialist, and me and my team, we help super busy super moms and super dads stay calm even when your kids are having big emotions and they trigger you so much. Be able to respond with healthy boundaries without your uncontrollable anger taking over. So that's what we do, and what I usually hear from both moms who just find me somewhere and also our clients inside the Zen Superman program is that change is hard and they're struggling with realizing and understanding, well, how does that impact me? So first of all, if I'm willing to consider that my uncontrollable anger is not coming from my kids, that they trigger it, they push the button, but the button was already there. Yeah, that the anger, even if I was not exploding at anybody before I became a mom, the anger has something to do with my past. Because I remembered me, myself, and I as well. I remembered very well from my childhood how it feels to feel not listened to, not being worthy of being paid attention to, like being ignored. Not being important, like not deserving unconditional love because I didn't feel good enough. I had to fulfill a long list of requirements so that I would be worthy of getting at least some attention and recognition. If that's how you grew up feeling most of your childhood, then this is what your kids are triggering. That's why whenever they make you feel they don't listen to you, they make you feel ignored, not respected, that's the little you who jumps up, right? Because most of the times, the people who I meet, who we help, me and my team, there is a part of them who feels not good enough. And whenever that feeling gets triggered, and whenever they feel criticized and judged for not being good enough, that part of themselves, the young little them, it jumps up to rescue and to protect and set the boundary. Now finally, like, no, this is enough, and here's where you need to stop because it's not acceptable anymore. That's why you feel like you became a little kid the moment somebody triggered you. That's all good, but then the next question is, okay, so I grew up being pushed to be a good girl. Meaning my parents had high expectations on who I need to be, what I need to achieve, how I need to show up in order to deserve feeling loved and at least a little bit good about myself. Now, what if we start healing all of those layers of expectations, criticism, judgment, any pain that people caused you verbally or even physically earlier in your past? Then many people became scared. Well, where does that even leave me? Like, who am I really underneath all of these trauma layers? And then they start thinking, well, okay, well, if that's all true, then who am I? What am I worth? What do I want? When nobody is looking, if there's nobody judging me, if I couldn't fail, if I already had all the money in the world, so all of this pressure and judgment and expectations of this society, if I ignored all of that, well, that's kind of a scary place because I have no idea who I am and what I want. So, this is what this podcast episode is about. First invitation I would have for you is to realize where you've been giving your power away by focusing on and feeling like a victim of your environment. Like, yeah, I know. I would love to be a great super mom who also has a super business and making ton of money, or who's spending my time focusing on my art, or who's building orphanages in Africa and helping so many kids. But I can't because I'm here. I need to take care of my kids and they're not sleeping and I don't have any time. I don't have any energy. I don't have any money because I got divorced, separated, and this bloody guy is not giving me even enough money for the kids, and like yada-da-da-da-da, and pointing out all the fingers outside. I'm not saying none of that is not true. I'm not disputing your objective reality. I believe like you're not playing a victim. Your life might be like so tough and so difficult and hard, and it's not fair. I'm there with you. I'm feeling all the compassion for you. My only invitation is to start focusing on, well, has this been on auto loop in my brain? Is that what I accepted as, okay, that's what my life is and therefore I cannot do anything about it? Is that what you've been doing? Is it possible? Because if you realize maybe, okay, yeah. And if you would want to take my invitation and consider it might be possible to do it in another way, well, what would become possible then? Okay, because all it takes is to start asking yourself the question in another more useful direction. Well, what would become possible if I could? Well, what if I could? Maybe I cannot like build the orphanage school or create a beautiful piece of art because that takes 5 hours and I have only 5 minutes. Maybe I cannot do it now. I cannot do it right now, today. But what would be some small first actions that I could start taking, even if it's like 5 minutes a day? Even if it's, and don't tell me you don't have 5 minutes, because how much time would you have if you stopped scrolling social media for parenting advice, how not to yell at your kids and all of this stuff, right? Like usually, if you're really honest with yourself, like there can be 5 minutes you can save by not stressing, not like, not going crazy. There is like few minutes. What if you could? So I'm not challenging you. I'm with all of my compassion. I'm just inviting you to consider, well, what if I could break it down into smaller steps and if I could start finding a way, perfectly imperfect, maybe not possible every day, but rather than freaking out and feeling like a victim, I'll just keep focusing my brain on looking for the next chance. This one doesn't work out because my kid didn't have a nap. Okay, well, what can be the next one? Or the next one, and you just keep focusing because it is going to happen, and I'm just going to find the opportunity and I'm going to make it, and I'm going to allow myself to feel happy and accomplished already now. I will not be waiting for one day. I will be happy when, and again, making even your happiness and your self-worth feeling conditional and having list of conditions you need to fulfill in order to feel good about yourself and feeling like you're living your life and not somebody else's life, or not just like a sacrificing mom life, but your life. What if you would start feeling that way now? Not one day when. Okay? Because this is the key ninja shift in your brain where I want to invite you to go. Rather than focusing on what's not working on the outside and why you cannot have it, what if you started focusing on the inside first? Okay, so I don't need to be the good girl. I don't need the approval of other people. What if I had already all the money in the world? I have achieved and succeeded in everything I wanted. What if I couldn't fail? What is it that I would choose to do if I could? Who is it that I want to be? What kind of energy do I want to show up with? Who am I if I'm not just a mom? I'm not the old me before I had kids. I'm not the sleepless, stressed out, depressed zombie either. Who am I really? After I heal all of this pressure and I start being resistant to the current pressure and expectations of other people. What if I could create a little bubble in which I will feel free to be who I am? And I start focusing on that and living that now. Not one day when, but I start living that now. How would that change? How would it change what you do day by day? How would it change what little tiny few minutes at a time opportunities you could create to start building up that momentum at least a little bit and giving yourself the joy of that? How amazing would that be? Because this is one of the other things that I'm hearing very often from the women I work with. They are achieving success. They are not yelling at their kids that often. Then they are getting even better and they're like, okay, I cannot even remember the last time I yelled at my kids. But, okay, there's always like the achievement, it comes in steps, and then there's plateau. Then it looks like, okay, there's no more progress, and they are starting to get nervous. They are getting this again in their head, this expectations, this judgment voice towards themselves. Like, no, I expected it's going to be like this. And by now I should be here. And how come I'm going like this? And it's like a roller coaster. Or I'm in a plateau. I didn't yell, but I'm still stressed out. And I'm still having fights with my husband or with my mother-in-law who's freaking me out. Like, how come I cannot do that? And bad me. And like beating themselves up. And so then this... Again, turning it around. Well, what would become possible if you acknowledged, instead of looking up to where you are not yet, what if you allowed yourself to take a moment just to take a breath and look back, to celebrate and acknowledge yourself and give yourself the pat on the back? This is one thing that comes over and over again, so much so that I even put it in our Friday tracker for the new clients. I ask them every Friday several questions just to check in. Where are they? How happy they are? What they need to be able to go further in the program? What support they need? Last question is, write a love note to yourself and like celebrate yourself for the achievement you've done in the past week. You wouldn't believe the number of women who tell me every week, I can't celebrate. Like, this is the hardest part of the questionnaire, of the survey. I'm like, yeah, that's why it's there. And it's completely normal. Surprise. And hey, here's the big news announcement to you who's listening as well. This is the reason why you cannot celebrate. You keep letting your judge, the inner critic in your head, focus on where you're not at. And that takes away completely, you don't allow yourself to give yourself the credit for what you've already achieved. Therefore, it's like your energy, your willpower just fades away. Because it feels like you're pushing up the hill. And it's never enough, no matter how much you push, how long you push. So then eventually you will feel like, I just give up, it's too much work. And just like, let me rest. And then you go, and then you slide down the hill. So, what is the best way to actually get a permanent, long-lasting change and healing without feeling like it's always pushing so heavy, and then you one step forward and then 10 steps, you slide back and you feel even worse than before? First step, look at that outside world that we just said so that you can stop feeling like a victim and you start creating some opportunities when you can take your power back. Second step, start celebrating the improvement, the progress you've already made. Perfectly imperfect. Nobody needs you to be a superstar and superhuman. Notice this is part of your trauma where you expect yourself to be like holier than the Pope, as they call it, like better than anybody else. That's part of your trauma mechanism kicking in, and that's going to just like make you slide back down. So allow yourself regular moments of pause where you can actually, instead of beating yourself up, you can see like, no, this is just my head. This is my trauma beating me up. I'm going to shift and celebrate instead, because 2 months ago, 2 years ago, I was in a totally like so much worse place and I'm feeling so much better and I'm making some progress. I'm allowing myself to celebrate the wins because that shows me I am on the right track. Okay? That can be the next step that's going to help you at least take a breath, muster up some energy again to keep going. Third thing I would invite you to consider doing is realizing that rather than pushing from the outside in, by trying to change the outside world, trying to change other people so that they don't trigger you so much and so that you have more time for your dreams, and you can keep pushing with your hyperachiever action and willpower, sticking to routines, which feels so heavy. The final ninja shift is to turn it inside out, turn it the other way around. Start from the inside. Start by really thinking about, well, who do I want to be? How does that person feel? Yeah. What is the energy that they project? And it doesn't have to be any like winning a Nobel Prize or whatever awards, being the supermom of the year. What is the energy with which you want to show up? Underneath all of these layers and expectations of other people, who is it that you have always been? What are some things that came easily to you that you do without even thinking and other people are admiring you for? They are giving you compliments like, oh, you're so great at that. And what are those things that, or even like activities that once you start doing it, it's as if the time around you paused, stopped, and it's just like you're in a flow. They call it the flow or in the zone, because you're loving it so much. Yeah. Who are you when nobody's looking? Who would you be? How would you show up if you were not afraid of failing, not afraid of being judged and not loved by other people? What is it that gives you the sparkle? What is maybe some of your goal? What are some of these things you have wanted to do for yourself that are not for other people? You're not doing just to feel good enough, but you want to do it because it makes you come alive. It makes you feel great. What is it? And how would you expect to feel once you would get to a certain level of mastery or once you would have completed it? How do you expect this would make you feel, this goal? Because then the trick is to start feeling that way right now, even before you achieve it, even before you do it, even before you become that person. That's the place from which it will be so much easier to reach your goals because it will flow easier. If we start talking about some specific examples, okay, you want to lose weight. We are now approaching the end of the year. There will be lots of people who want to lose weight and get fit. They will be getting fitness, like gym memberships and buying cute clothes to get inspired and buying fitness programs or routines or nutrition, like fat loss programs online, whatever. So how about rather than focusing on all of these external outside things, what if you started tapping into, well, how would I feel as a fit person? Let's imagine I have the trim, fit body. How would that feel? And allow yourself to feel that way right now. And then whenever there's a decision, whenever there's a temptation, oh, I'm too tired to do my exercise today. Oh, could I just have like this one piece of chocolate? You tap into that energy again and you make a decision with the mind, with the identity of a fit person, not judging yourself, but thinking like, okay, if I was already fit and slim and ripped, what kind of decision would I make? How would I feel about this situation right now? And you will see how that changes. Okay, see what that does with you. The intention is not for you to become like your judge and beat yourself up or to push, but to notice how much easier it is to stop waiting one day, only then I can be happy with myself, but start living from that place now, because that will make it much easier as a ripple effect to then it will be impacting naturally all of your decisions. Like, how does a fit person feel about the workouts today? Like, okay, objectively, I might not have 1 hour of time because my kids are sick, they are not at school, there's school holidays, so I can't do 1 hour workout. But rather than being a victim of it and feeling sorry for myself and then giving up and eating a pile of chocolate because I cannot be a fit person, my life is against me. No, but rather than that, what if you could put on some YouTube video that is whatever, 15-20 minutes short, and your kids will be jumping around you on your back, like making, yeah, that's what my daughter, she used to love doing that. Whenever I was doing some like YouTube video workout, she would either do it with me or she would lie on me. She would lie on my mat. She would use me as her, like to go around my legs and body and everything. So we ended up laughing about it. But what if you could have more of this playful energy and just this creativity, and rather than your brain getting stuck and mad and frustrated that you can't because this is not going well, what if you could choose to shift your brain and say like, okay, this didn't work out, pfft, screw it, it sucks, but that's life. Well, what are some other opportunities that I could have? And what are some things that I could stop doing so that I would have more energy, right? And what if I could create, if not 1 hour, even 5 minutes? Because that's what a fit person does. That's what a person who believes I'm worthy of being healthy, and my kids are worthy of having an example of a healthy mom who takes care of herself. Not the mom who's victim and who will collapse if the world is too tough, but a mom who can rise above and who can creatively just like get curious. Well, what if it was possible? How could I make it possible rather than waiting for the stars to align and one day finally I will be able to go to the gym because I will have babysitting for my kids? Screw it. What is it that I could do today, even with a bunch of kids around me and a sleepless night behind me? Like, could I still do to make myself feel better now, not one day in the future? And celebrating all the progress. Not beating myself up that I couldn't do a 1 hour workout, but well done, mama, for having 15-minute laugh with my kids and like doing at least something, right? How would your life change then? And if not for fitness and weight loss, what is your example? What would you do if you could? And then what if instead of focusing on those reasons why you can't, you started creating opportunities, little tiny baby steps of how you could do that anyways, despite all the obstacles? How much sweeter would your victory be if you looked back 1 year, 2 years, 10 years back to this moment now, and you would feel so proud of yourself. I did it despite all the obstacles and challenges. I did it. And you didn't have to do it through pushing with your willpower. You wouldn't have to burn out halfway, because you would allow yourself to celebrate every step of the way, all of your progress, perfectly imperfect. And you would start, rather than pushing up the hill, the heavy snowball that is getting heavier and heavier and you're having less and less energy, you would instead already start on the top with the identity of a person who have already achieved it. And then just take the steps along the way. Whenever the opportunity is, creating the opportunity, not waiting for it, creating it. You are the hero of your story. Yes, you can. What if you could? I cannot wait to hear from you. Let me know. This is why I don't believe, well, I completely understand the midlife crisis concept. I just feel like it's a great opportunity. This is the age when we realize life is not about unicorns, but also at this moment, we also have much bigger appreciation for actually how much we are able to do. How much adversity did you already overcome? How many hard situations did you get out of, right? Use this as your fuel rather than beating yourself up about any past failures. Start looking for those wins. Start looking for the proof of how much you can do when you put your mind and heart in it, because that fire is still in you. What if you would put it in a good use? Your kids deserve to see that example in you. And you deserve to feel more than just a mom. You are not just a parent. Where is that authentic self? There's so much talk about self-love and authentic self. Start listening to that voice. She's still there. I cannot wait to hear from you. Let me know in the comments. Send us an email. Let me know how that journey is going for you. I can't wait. Take very good care, Supermom. Why can't you stop yelling at your kids? And no, it's not the stress, lack of sleep, kids not listening, fighting, hitting, no support, time pressure, ADHD, hormones. No, moms around the world are doing it regardless. How? Join us for the upcoming Mommy Tantrum training and find out too.